Hi, I'm Patti Scharf, CPA and partner at Acuity. Today I'm going to talk about e-commerce funding. So basically the ways that you can help fund the operations of your business. And I'm going to give you some tips on ways that you can do this cheaply or even free. So stick around to the end as we talk about all of that. All right, before we get into all of that, I want to talk about budget. I'm going to spend very, very little time on this. There is a link below to an e-commerce budget template that will help you do this for yourself. But I want to tell you why. Before you worry about funding, you want to make sure that you have a strong foundation. You have a plan in mind for your business. You want to make sure that the money that's coming in can cover all of the expenses that are going out. This is what you're going to be comparing against your actual books when you're running things in QuickBooks Online or in Xero. And you want to make sure that things are going according to plan, because if month over month you're continuing to lose money in your business, no amount of additional funding can dig you out of that. You are just looking for a world of hurt. So make sure you have a solid foundation with your budget and you know that all of your expenses can be covered by your income. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is cash flow. Just because you have profit on paper doesn't mean you've got cash in the bank to pay your bills. And that's really what this video is about. We're going to be talking about working capital. We're going to be talking about how you extend the amount of cash you have on hand to pay all of your bills and things like that. Okay. There are many businesses who have gone out of business, not because they weren't profitable, but because they just didn't have enough cash to run things. And a lot of e-commerce sellers run into this kind of situation. They will talk to people on our team all the time, are talking to business owners who are like, how could this possibly be possible? How can I be making so much money? And I do not have a Ferrari sitting in my driveway. Why do I have no cash in the bank? And the reason is, and this is a hint, you probably spent a lot of money on inventory this year. Okay, so businesses, especially businesses that are growing, they need to have enough liquid capital to be reinvesting in things while also keeping things humming along. Okay. I did a video a while back on cash flow, so you might check that out if you have more questions on that. All right. So working capital is directly to, it's kind of a scary term. It's kind of a weird term. And once you kind of understand it, it's not that bad. But it's tied directly to cash flow. Working capital is basically the money that you have to be paying your bills. And it's like the lifeblood of your business. It's how money is coming in and going out on a day-to-day business to run the operations. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into ways to fund your business, because if you are dialed in on your working capital, you can see the different levers that you can push and pull to expand the working capital that you have. All right. So best ways to fund your business. I'm going to go from the worst ways down to some of the best ways. Okay. And when I say worst or best, it kind of depends on your situation. So I'm just talking about most expensive to least expensive. All right, I'm going to leave out all of the things like winning money in a poker game and funding your business with that, or side hustles, or other kind of creative avenues that you're using to get money. These are just kind of the basics of largely borrowing money from other sources and things like that. The first one is merchant cash advances. We also call them capital loans. You see them marketed a lot as capital loans because I think merchant cash advance sounds expensive, and not surprisingly, it actually is. So you've seen these like Shopify capital loans or PayPal loans or Clearco, things like that. They advertise this in a way that it sounds really kind of reasonable, like 9% fee. All right. The problem is when you actually do the math, it ends up being the equivalent of like 44%. And I have to give a shout out to Bill D'Alessandro because he did an amazing video and he's got like a spreadsheet that he put together that's available to everybody. I'm going to put the link down below so you can go check that out. But he's basically proving out that a 9% loan that needs to be paid back in like 6 payments is 44%. And he's right. It's really expensive. So if you're using something like that, where the capital is so expensive, you're not going to be able to sustain that for very long. Next up are credit cards. Now, if you're not carrying a balance, this is an amazing opportunity. I would actually drop it down to the bottom because you're actually getting money back for using these. But in reality, you're signing on the dotted line for like usually 24% or something like that to use these credit cards. So if you're using it actually and not paying it off in full every time, it's fairly expensive. The good thing about credit cards is, well, there are a couple of good things. The first good thing is that you can get yourself up to 45 days of float. If you time it properly and you make your big purchases right after the cutoff date for the statement, you have all that time just kind of until the statement closes. And then you have all that time until the due date of the credit card payment to make that payment. So you could get like 45 days of being able to use that money on other things. So depending on how quickly you're turning over your inventory, you could be making sales, getting cash, and paying for that down the road. So that's not a bad thing. And then the other thing, obviously, is if you're getting rewards out of it, you can get a lot of cash back from that kind of stuff, especially e-commerce sellers when they're buying inventory on credit cards. You can rack up a lot of points really fast. So that is a good deal. One of the best cards that you can get if you're using a rewards card is the American Express Business Gold card. You can get 4 times points up to, I think, $150,000 in the first year. And then you can have up to 10 cards, like 10 Amex Gold cards. So you could get 150,000 on that one. And when it's maxed out for the year, go on to the next one, max that out for the year, and so on and so forth. So that is a huge, huge bonus for you. Next up is a line of credit. The interest rate is usually better on lines of credit than they are on credit cards. The credit cards, you don't have to personally guarantee, but the lines of credit, you do. So that's kind of a downside, but you only need to use the line of credit when you want to. Like you can bounce in and out of having a balance, kind of the same way you do with a credit card. But the terms are better and it's really clear. There's no like shenanigans being pulled when you're working with a line of credit, and you can get it at any of your banks. The next good one is the SBA loan that you get through the government. Usually that's about 10%. I forget what the rate is. It's like market plus 5% or something like that. It changes all the time anyway. So you can just look that up. But the good thing about this is the term is really long. So it's like a 10-year loan, and then the payments are substantially lower because of the length of the loan. So that's good. Again, you're going to need to personally guarantee that. So, don't default on those. But then here is the tip I'm going to give you. The best way to float cash is by paying attention to your accounts receivable, your inventory, and your accounts payable. So inventory and accounts receivable, they're like a seesaw with your cash. So as your inventory goes up, your cash goes down. As your inventory goes down, your cash goes up. A lot of people pay attention to not running out of inventory, but they need to also pay attention to not having too much inventory. Because if you have too much inventory, that's just cash sitting in a corner that you are not able to access and use to pay for bills and things like that. So I think it's really important to pay attention to that. Kind of the same way with accounts receivable. As accounts receivable goes up, your cash goes down. So you're loaning money out to your customers, basically. You want them to pay you. So your cash goes up and your accounts receivable goes down. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is to not extend terms to your customers. Ask for them to pay using a credit card. Don't give them months and months to pay. You don't want to go chasing them down for payments anyway. So that would be my recommendation. The other thing that you can do, and this is a very good tip, is accounts payable. So these are the bills that you owe, especially for things like bills with your suppliers. So you're buying a bunch of inventory, and when you're first starting out, they're going to say things like, hey, pay all up front, or pay half when you order and then half when it's delivered, things like that. Over time, as you build up your reputation with them, and they have more confidence in working with you, you can ask for longer and longer terms. So maybe instead of paying part of it when you order, ask them if you can pay upon shipment, or ask them if you can pay, God forbid, net 30 or net 60. This is a way that you can push out those payments so that you actually might even have time to get your product and get some of it sold before you have to pay for the product. So this is a really great way to extend your working capital, and you don't have to pay for it. So that is basically free funding. Those are my top tips for today. I hope this helped you out. If you like my video, please like, comment, and share. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will catch you later.